Okay, it's 5 or 4 for some people, but hi, my name is Caitlin, and I'm intern here at Sport Philanthropy Network. Just want to say a quick thank you for joining us today for our partnerships panel, and I will now hand it over to our moderator to start.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And again, thank you for joining us. My name is Kayla Bradham. I'm the Vice President of Community Development for Sports Philanthropy Network, here today with Hector and Jen to talk about partnerships. So first of all, Hector and Jen, I know that you really don't even need me to moderate. This is something that you're super passionate about. Why don't you take a few minutes, introduce yourselves, what you do, what your mission is, and the biggest problems that you see in partnership.
Ladies first.
Sure. So, hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Jennifer Kay. I'm the founder and CEO of Creo Events. The name means nothing at this point. There's been so many renditions, but I am a D1 full ride volleyball player from Florida State. And I started my career in the nonprofit event space. And I've been in the space for 25 years. I've done every event under the sun. I've raised millions of dollars for nonprofits, both small, mid-size, and large nonprofits. I'm a strategist. So I, as an independent consultant, get hired to help nonprofits with growth capacity, talent advisory, strategy, direct fundraising, literally boots on the ground and helping nonprofits to raise money, as well as planning events, strategic style events to help forward that fundraising effort and the mission itself. So that's what I do. I'm out of the Washington, D.C. area, but my clients have been all over. I currently just wrote a brand new campaign for the Gary Sinise Foundation. I've raised money for National Defense University Foundation, Congressional Medal of Honor. You name it, I've done it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hector?
Good afternoon and good morning and good evening. Before I begin, I would like to ask a 24-second of silence. I do that every time I do anything to honor Dr. Naismith, because a lot of people don't realize is that Dr. Naismith was a veteran. Veterans would give us what we have, and a lot of people take that for granted. So before I begin, I just ask for 24 seconds of silence, and then I'll share with you real quick about who we are and what we want to go. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much for honoring that. My name is Hector Perdomo. I'm with the Naismith International Basketball Foundation. I actually represent Mr. Ian Naismith, who was the youngest grandson of Dr. James Naismith. A lot of people don't know who he is, but he is a gentleman that invented this game called basketball. And Jennifer, by the way, he's also co-inventor of volleyball. And what we're here to do is keep his mission going. He had a foundation that is about sportsmanship and helping underprivileged children. Ian Naismith, basically him and his wife Renee, they ran the program. The program's been dormant for a little bit because, number one, I'm not a Naismith. You know what I mean? I had worked with Mr. Naismith for a long time, and I was able to save the foundation before it got dissolved. I know you guys see football, and I don't know if you guys like the Patriots, but unfortunately that's my team. And Mr. Edelman did a catch that made the biggest Super Bowl comeback ever. And that's how I saved this foundation. This foundation was about to be dissolved. 20 years of hard work and labor of Renee and Ian Naismith, giving the Sportsmanship Award to Michael and a bunch of other people. The Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Hall of Fame. I got a list of over 20 people that have received our Sportsmanship Award. And what we want to do is we want to educate everybody who, what, where, and why basketball was invented on the date basketball was invented. That's one of our events. We call that Shot Heard Around the World, and that's every December 21st. We started at 11:30 a.m. We go until all the participants had a chance to shoot or miss a free throw, and we educate them. It's just shooting a free throw. That one shooting a free throw is like life. You either make it or you don't. but you don't quit. You keep going. You understand that you got to be a student. Teach them that you got to, it's great to love the sport, but you don't want to rely everything on just sports. You want to get your education because nowadays there's so much to do with sports other than just playing the game. I mean, you have trainers, you have managers, you have all sorts of stuff that will help you get better. When I was speaking to Jennifer, she says that she does a lot of stuff with helping people, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to share with her how we can create this one event. And I have multiple events like I try to share with Mr. Naismith. If he would have listened to me, um,
Hector, it looks like there's a little technical difficulty. We can't hear you. Would you just check your mic for us, please?
that went to Sotheby's. Month prior to that, I showed him how we could have did a fundraiser and connected with all the colleges and high schools, and in 3 weeks he would have made $50 million. But he was an old school. He hated the cell phone. He just wanted to do everything his way. And unfortunately, when his wife Renee died in 2007, he passes away 5 years later on my dad's birthday. My synchronicities with this family is insane. Not only is that one thing that blew my mind, but when I'm reading a book called Basketball Man, The Life of Dr. James Naismith, his patriarch, his grandfather, he dies the date my old wedding anniversary was October 19th. This is when he died in 1885 or something like that. Moving forward, Dr. Naismith goes to Kansas, and his predecessor, somehow, some way, the guy's first name was Hector. So he replaced a guy named Hector. And I'm Hector, and I'm here now, and I'm like, I mean, it's just, I feel that God's put me here for a certain reason. A year after I met Mr. Naismith, I had a very bad car accident, which I should be dead. I had a Corvette rear-end me do over 120 miles an hour, flipped and rolled me 4 or 5 times, and I sit on the roof over 150 feet, walked away without a scratch. An angel named David touched me that night, and my life changed forever. So I'm real excited about being able to be here. I mean, I've been working with Mr. Naismith before he died for over 20 years, and I just want to keep this foundation going. So when I die, we can keep it going. The kids can understand the importance of education. To be strong in body, clear in mind, and lofty in ideals is how Mr. Naismith still lives till this.
Thank you, Hector. I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things that I want to discuss is we talked a little bit earlier about the difference between partnership and sponsorship. And Hector, you brought up some good points about that and working together. Jennifer, how do you see the difference between partnership and sponsorship?
Yeah, thank you. And I actually had asked that question for you to clarify, and you did. In my mind, I definitely see a sponsorship is a fiscal partner. Partnership and sponsorships, those terms really kind of are intertwined. But for the purposes of this conversation, I want to refer to partnerships as third party that might not necessarily lay cash on the table for your nonprofit, but rather expand your audience growth. It expands your capacity to tap into new donor spaces. It might be another nonprofit. It might be, a local. It might be a local business that isn't necessarily giving you money, but hanging, point of purchase displays in their stores. It might be a local government. It might be an event that you're partnering with, but you don't necessarily see the cash. So for the purpose of this conversation, I want to refer to partners that necessarily aren't writing you a check, but giving you a bigger platform for you to raise that money. Kayla.
I think that's a great way to explain it, Jen. Hector, in your experience specifically with Naismith, who are you partnering with? Not what sponsorship money are you raising, but who are you partnering with in that in-kind donation?
Well, at the moment, we don't have that many partners, but what we are looking for is a partnership to basically develop the foundation and brand the name Naismith to keep it going. You know what I mean? Yeah, like Jen said, it's now we're always about money. Money, yeah, you gotta have the money. But the partnership, you need people to be there, make the moves, make the calls, make the connections, do the events, make the children aware of why basketball was invented, and that's pretty about it. To make sure that the foundation gets solid, we're gonna be getting more board members. We're gonna be getting more volunteers. As this thing grows and grows and grows, it's got to be partnerships over sponsorship.
That
So,
makes complete sense. Jen, what about you?
yeah, I was going to say, as an independent consultant that supports nonprofits across the country and in a variety of causes, you know, sponsorship, success in raising funds is not based on cold calls, right? It's based on building relationships where there's a give back. It's a win-win or no deal. I would say that partnerships are the same way. It's about building a relationship that down the road it's going to translate to a greater audience, more revenue, whatever. So when you're thinking about partnerships, think about people with like missions, um, people that have similar audiences, or people or other groups that have audiences that you're trying to get into. And again, partnerships can be companies, they can be other nonprofits, they can be local governments, they can be existing events that are already happening, where maybe in Hector's case, maybe there's an existing city festival, and the Naismith Foundation goes out and does a basketball shoot, and it's a partnership, right? So they're not giving you money, but they're giving you an opportunity to get exposure. So
Right,
that's what I would consider as a partner.
right. It's like you're saying. I mean, what you want to do is be able to go out and communicate with the community, bring everybody involved, bring everybody in, and just keep it moving, keep adding grease to that wheel so that it doesn't stop. I mean, the basketball never stopped. Basketball hasn't stopped since 1891. You know what I mean? The important thing is to build trust, to build camaraderie. Understand that it ain't always about financial, but the best thing about it is that in the long run, yeah, you'll get paid. Like you guys shared with us earlier, Kayla, is that people come and think the stuff's for free. Unfortunately, like somebody gotta pay the light,
Right.
and that's just how it works. You know what I mean? Partnerships is great a way to build long lasting relationships that are going to sustain any tsunamis of whatever might be wrong or might be right. You know what I mean? You might get a guy that comes in and just drops money in your foundation, and your ideas take off.
Well, and I also think in terms of partnerships, it's not necessarily about how it's going to benefit you, but how will it
Right,
benefit other people, and thinking that way
right,
first. And Kayla, this is a very hard platform for me because I can't see Cindy Coleman, I can't see Brandon, and I don't know, and I can't see Jay Blade. So it's hard, but so I'm going to use Naismith Foundation as an example. If I was to be working with Naismith Smith Foundation, I would say, look, what if you were to partner with the Boy Scouts of America or Girl Scouts of America? They already have a sports badge. So what can you do with the local chapter of your Boy Scouts of America to help those young kids earn that merit badge for sports? So,
exactly.
I think those are types of partnerships that are so invaluable, and you're really doing to help them. And
Exactly. And I agree with you, Jen, because what you want to do is you want to keep educating them and make them understand that you got to keep learning and keep it moving and keep doing something you love. And if you're passionate about basketball, that's great. But if you're passionate about acting, if you're passionate about being a producer, a journalist, that's what it all entails in teamwork. So when you're working around stuff and you got teams, that's sports brings that out of you. You know what I mean? One thing I learned, I mean, I got a blog called What If No blogspot.com. You go in there and it tells you that the thing that sports does, it brings out that person in you. If you're a hard worker, you're a grinder, you're an entrepreneur, you're a hustler, you're a cheat, you're a deceit, it's gonna bring it out of you. And that what people don't understand is that the biggest thing that Dr. Naismith created wasn't basketball. Okay, it was character. It shows what kind of character you are deep inside. If you're a grinder, you want to happen, you want to do things right, You're gonna work like that. But if some people want to do it the wrong way, they're gonna do it that way. You know what I mean? So when you go out in the world, you'll understand that when your back's up against the wall, you will know how to either go up over it, go around it, go through it, go underneath it. You'll find a way. You'll make it happen. And that's what I love about being able to teach these kids the importance of teamwork, camaraderie. I mean, basketball just keeps going and going, and even baseball, any organized sports entity, as long as you're treating them right, you're teaching the kids the right morals, you're not telling them to always win the game. I mean, I was listening to Ron earlier.
Yeah, Hector, those are great points. I'm sorry you muted again, so I'm going to just go ahead and ask Jen. Jen, when you're creating partnerships, what is the best approach to developing that partnership? Like, we talked about earlier, it can't just be a cold call. You're not just picking up the phone and saying, hi, I'm with my organization and we'd love to partner with you because we think you have a lot of money and you can do good for us. We're not even asking you for your money. Jennifer, when you're looking for a partnership, where do you start and what does that process look like?
Yeah, sure. I think obviously there's no sense in creating a partnership unless it's part of your strategic growth and how that's going to fit into the current programs or future programs that you're planning on hosting or running, or financial campaigns that you're planning on launching. And then also looking at like missions. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to my Boy Scouts of America example for Hector. They already have something in place. You're trying to deliver a message. What a great platform to deliver your message about the history of basketball than to groups that are already trying to, that are already have a captive audience. So I think that's one example. The other example, let me go back to my street festival example. If there's a street festival in Orlando and there's an opportunity for, they're looking for activation for their 300,000 visitors that are going to come out on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of downtown Orlando, and they're looking for activities. What a great opportunity for Hector to partner with the city of Orlando, right? And set up a basketball court and set up opportunities for them to meet a couple of players. So that the missions have to be aligned, but there has to be obviously that connection. And then you put it together. A one-pager is enough. I'm not a big look. I mean, I think you can tell the story, you can talk about how it's going to benefit everybody, and then you go from there.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Hector, so on your end with the Naismith Foundation, as you're setting up the partnerships and working on that, how much time are you giving yourself from start to finish? When do you start reaching out to businesses and organizations to collaborate?
Excuse me. For this event we got going on, I've been planning this event, Shot Heard Around the World, since 2019. But unfortunately with COVID and all that stuff that happened, everything got shut down. So normally, I mean, we're on, as soon as we get this Shot Heard Around the World going, that's when we'll be able to reach out to more partners and bring it on to more events. In 2015, we tried to do an event, but we got nobody played it. It was called a free throw challenge. I had one of my retired Harlem Globetrotters come and challenge Michael Jordan, Barack Obama, Shaq, and basically you had three chances to shoot a free throw, and whatever you made or whatever you missed, you donate $5, $10, $15. And it was to donate the people that had that typhoon in the Philippines. And Adam Silver seen it. Adam was he liked the idea, but I reached out to them and I shared with them ideas that I have that it's not going to cost them nothing. And like I said, I'm not a Naismith, so they really don't push the envelope towards my way. And I mean, we wanna grab partnerships every day if we can. And it's not about the money, honestly. Like Jennifer said, it's about creating relationships that are gonna sustain any kind of drama, anything that will come our way. And with what we have with the name Naismith, the goal is to brand the name, teach the kids, and keep doing it as much as we can every day.
So one of the greatest inventions is Google, right? A Google search. So literally when Hector was just talking, I did a quick Google search, shot heard around the world, and a series of things comes up. Schoolhouse Rock and Disney educational. Disney produced an education talk about the shot around the world, which launched, you know, the Revolutionary War. I would say, okay, can we somehow tie in Disney? There's also shot around the world about the baseball. The shot heard around the world. It was the winning baseball game by the New York Giants outfielders. Is there a way that you can partner with the New York Giants around that? So doing a Google research in terms of your concept, what's been done, what was successful, what hasn't been successful, and then take a look at those events and look at those sponsors. You know, that's a great way to kind of figure out what partners you should go after.
Well, see, that's why Jennifer is so valuable. I'm the type of guy that I come up with ideas. I mean, some of my ideas are amazing, but I got so many hats on, and they slip off because I don't got no hair to hold them on. You know what I'm saying? They just slide right off.
But I would say, like, and here I'm going to take this one step further. Again, if there was already this shot heard around the world by the New York Giants, creating a partner, and this I'm shooting in the dark, so I don't even know if they would do this, but if you went to the New York Giants and created a one-day promotional opportunity where every kid under the age of 10 got a mini basketball, and somehow that came to the New York Giants games, and then it's a cross promotion for youth sports, and
Absolutely.
that's for support. It's youth sports and getting engaged one way or another, whether it's baseball, football, basketball.
Well, another thing that people don't know, Jennifer, is that Dr. Naismith is accredited for creating the first football helmet.
There you go.
So everything ties in. I love the idea because I've always thought that you could put you. I got a golf event called see something club on cancer, whatever it is. I forgot what it is. But in this golf event, every par three, you have a basketball hoop. You don't shoot a par three. You shoot a free throw. You know, and it's just so intertwinable that it's just simple. It's not hard at all. Not hard at all.
Well, and again, let me take your shot around the world. I mean, again, it goes back to the opening shot in Lexington and Concord in 1775. And what if you were to somehow tie in, you know, the U.S. Army? And,
oh yeah, absolutely.
And do a cross promotion with the U.S. Army to do the play on words. Hey, this was obviously something that changed our whole world and our whole government and our whole preparation from, you know, Great Britain.
Well, Jennifer, you again, see, you're sharing with me your knowledge, and your knowledge is insane because you can go onto any military base. I don't care where it is. I don't care where it is. Yeah, lightning. I don't care where it is, and you'll find a basketball hoop.
Okay, that's a great idea. What if you created an inter competition about basketball on the military bases, and it's a play. I mean, this is what I do for a living.
There's a lot. Your mind is like mine. It just takes off when it sees an opportunity. Yeah. And that's what partnership's about. And then you're just one person. Imagine we bring another person to the table that has the same passion of what they do. And that's what a partnership can do.
I learned I had a short stint where I actually went in-house and worked for a global PR firm heading up their strategic events division when I was about 30. And I learned one valuable lesson from working for that company is that in a brainstorm session, there are no bad ideas. So when I would say to all the nonprofits, when you're sitting around brainstorming your next steps or your growth or a campaign or whatever, sit around that table, lay them all out, and then start to move in a direction to see what's the lowest hanging fruit. Maybe it's all going to be on your agenda over the next 10 years, but how do you get those started? And there's no bad ideas. You'll never know unless you try, unless you reach out. They might work.
Well, my profession is sales. So once I get the 5 no's out of my way, then that's when I really start talking.
What are the 5 no's? Hector.
I think Hector froze.
I think
Give
Hector's
him a
having
second.
some,
I know he said he was in a lightning storm, so we'll be with.
I'm just curious to know what the 5 no's are.
Oh no, when somebody gives you 5 no's, you know,
No.
somebody asks you, oh no, no, okay, no, no, okay. Oh yeah, well yeah, you ask them again. No. Okay, after the 5th no is when they'll be like, all right, what you got? And that's how I learned to be in sales.
The other thing that sorry to interrupt, Caleb, but the other thing, yesterday I sat on a great panel discussion about sponsorship. And I'm going to actually take something that I said about procurement of sponsors over to partnerships. Any nonprofit has their mission, right? Their objective, their mission. Hector's so busy, but that doesn't mean that you can't change your case for support so that you align with another group. And whether you're talking to an LGBT group and you still have the same mission, but let's change the case for support as to why we should partner together. If you want to partner with a Geico or a city festival or US Army, that's fine. You still have your mission, but let's change our case for support as to why we should partner.
Yeah. Like I said, the possibilities are endless. With what I see, how you shared with me about that shot heard around the world in 1775, that's huge. You know what I mean? And kids, that's more. The more we can educate the child.
Why can't we set up a basketball court right in the middle of downtown Boston where the first shot was, and set up, and then
You need to say that right. It's Boston. Okay. And the shot was in Springfield, Massachusetts.
there you go.
It's at Springfield College, because that's one of my goals is while I'm here is to go talk to them and see if they want to be part of it. Because I mean, what better way to bring kids to the Hall of Fame the date the game was invented and the chance to win? Because when they register, they're gonna have a chance to win a pair of the sneakers that I created. I got a pair of sneakers called the Naismiths, and they're cool basketball sneakers, and they're unisex. You know what I'm saying? And that's the goal. The goal is to bring them, like Dr. Naismith. Do you guys know why you know why basketball was invented? Basketball was a hook. It was
We can't hear you, Hector.
to take care of his parishioners that they're destroying the place. The very last day, Dr. Naismith woke up out of his siesta and says, I got it. When he woke up, he went to Mr. Stebbins, who was the janitor at the time, and told him to go to the basement or to get him 2 crates. Well, Mr. Stebbins goes into the basement, and what he comes back with? 2 peach baskets, not crates. If he didn't come out with the peach baskets, we would have had crate ball instead of basketball. Okay? So that's part of the story that these kids would understand. And when they understand that when you go in and this game was invented, it was to keep you busy during the cold, hard New England winter months. I know what that is because I played in the cold in the New England winter. I mean, I played basketball so much at times that my fingers, they would split as cold as the air was when you were dribbling the ball. So bringing in the boys and girls of America, bringing in, I mean, I've reached out to the YMCA with the 64 million people that they have. I said, with 5 million at $20 a pop, we'll make $100 million. And that goes right back into the community. That's the best part of this event is giving back. Show the kids that you work together to sustain each other, to keep building each other. Because if you don't build each other, you're going to destroy each other. I mean, you got these kids with guns and girls.
Oh no, it's technical difficulties. Kayla, do you have other?
Go ahead, Jen, you can ask.
No, I was going to ask you if you had any other questions. Hector, unfortunately, your voice keeps coming in and out, your speaker.
Yeah.
We're having a really hard time hearing you, and
Okay.
I apologize for that.
No, it's not your fault. It was the lightning that just hit me. That thing was scared the living daylights out of me.
I get it. So If you don't mind, and Hector, I'm sure you understand, it's just that we're really not catching much of the conversation. I'm really going to try to take this next 20 minutes and just really kind of steer towards Jennifer. Feel free to hop in with a comment or a question, but for the sake of really capturing this as a recording, I think we need to focus on Jen. Jen, so one of the things that I thought of when Hector mentioned the basketball tournament with Michael Jordan and the president and things like that. Oftentimes in my industry, I think people are always interested in the A-list celebrities, right? So I'll get people calling me from a little small organization saying, hey, I'm going to have a little girls gymnastics thing. Can you get Jen Welter to come and speak at my event? Or can you get, and they're just picking, Aaron Rodgers from the Packers. And
Sure.
well, I heard he's not coming back. Can you get Aaron? And I think, sometimes with partnerships, it's explaining to people, you need to find the right athlete for your organization. Can you speak to that a little bit, that it's not always the A-list athlete, it's the right athlete?
I 100% agree with you. And it also, that same concept translates over to sponsors. I mean, when I work with my military nonprofits, they all want Boeing, they all want Lockheed Martin, they all want Northrop Grumman, but sometimes it's harder to get money out of those A-listers, right? Than thinking outside of the box. How about go to Rolls-Royce or 3M or any of these other companies that are supporting our US military? I'm going to take it over the same thing in terms of partnerships. You maybe look for a hometown athlete celebrity, maybe look for a hometown military World War II veteran to help get, there are people in every hometown that are national heroes. And it could be a declarated police officer who has gone above and beyond, and maybe that's the right person for your mission and your organization to speak. It doesn't have to be, the Secretary of the Army or the Commandant of the Marine Corps, but it may be the guy who had 495 combat missions and is living in your hometown, that loves basketball, for example, or loves the Boys and Girls Club. So that's right. I think, hey, it's great to have a Michael Jordan or Patrick Ewing or Dikembe Mutombo or, a Cheryl Weaver or Gabrielle Reese, who I played volleyball with. But unless you're, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. And I'll give you an example. I was raising money for the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation about 3 years ago. And I was hired only to handle procurement and management of the live auction. This was a golf tournament out at Pebble Beach. There was, 144 golfers. The golf tournament raised $5 million. The auction itself raises $1 million. And so it was my sole job. I was contracted just to do the auction. And I realized, well, first of all, I don't do live auctions anymore. I don't do auctions. So if anybody wants to hire me to do an auction, I'll tell them no. We'll come up with a better plan. But I realized that it's better to find opportunities that the audience will enjoy, right? And so I tackled creating experiences. So I had a private dining opportunity on the presidential yacht Sequoia, which we sold. I had a private opportunity to ride around with a NASCAR driver. Okay, so those also, I had a bear hunt. I had a golf course 5 days in Scotland. Here's where I'm getting. I called Misty May, Olympic beach volleyball player, and I said, would you donate the opportunity for somebody to send their kid to Manhattan Beach, California, and train under you? And she said, I would love to do that. I think that's a great opportunity, like one day, right? And then they could sit at a beach volleyball tournament. She goes, I just don't think it's the right audience. And she was right. I had a group of military men at a golf tournament in Pebble Beach. They weren't going to buy, and older men, they weren't going to buy a volleyball experience. So I kind of put that on the shelf, and I'm waiting for the right opportunity to bring that back. And it didn't make sense for that particular event. So that's an example. You really need to know, it needs to feel right, and it needs to be right.
I think that's a great point. And the other question I have for you is, who do you need on your team? Who are the indispensable players when you're creating partnerships? Like Jennifer, I know you're independent, right?
I'm
And
independent.
that means, like Hector was saying, you wear 1,000 different hats and you only have one head. As you're building out a team as a nonprofit and working on partnerships, who are the key players and what do you have to be really good at?
Hector, do you want to answer that? Looks like you're a little bit more stable in terms of hearing. I have a thought, but I wanted to see if you wanted to, since you were actually running.
I lost the question. She was in and out. Say that again.
Sure. I said, as you are developing your nonprofit and looking for partnerships, Hector, you said earlier, you know, you have 1,000 hats and only one head. What are the key areas that you need to be really good at? And as you're building out your team, who are the key players?
I would say someone who could sustain to connect with people, to be able to create partnerships and relationships, to bring in people. And you girls mentioned something about heroes and stuff like that. They never have to be a professional athlete. Like you guys said, it could be a local hero.
Okay.
And those are the people that you look out for. You look out for the people that are in your community, and that's the basis of it. You want real people. You don't want people who go out there and make all this kinds of money, and then you come to bring it to a kid, and they don't understand. But kids listen to athletes. You know, those are unfortunately kids listen more to athletes to their own parents.
So he's breaking.
In the area. You know what I mean? You want somebody smart that's approachable. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But
You want someone who can help people.
yeah, I want to say, Hector, though, and I know we both come from the sport, and this is obviously sports group, but there are other sports. I mean, there are ballerinas, there are gymnasts, there are track runners. I mean, and if you look at the adaptive sports, I mean, could you imagine having somebody who's playing in a wheelchair hockey tournament as a celebrity speak to your group or partner with your group? So I encourage nonprofits. Let me answer your question. You asked who do you want to be like to build your team? I honestly believe that whether you're a small nonprofit, depending on how much you have, I really believe that you need a director of development first, or somebody like an independent consultant who is open, a forward thinker, somebody who has deep roots and experience, and somebody who's not afraid to pick up the phone and really kind of push the limit. I think if you are an independent executive director, and maybe you've got a chief financial officer, you've got one other person, or you've got an admin person, the next person you should be finding to help build out your mission and your goals and your growth is really somebody like me, who can either in-house or as a consultant, who can really help you flush through the details of your growth and hit the road running with you. Consultants don't promise to bring money to the table, but they definitely promise to help forward your mission. There's no guarantees in fundraising, but I definitely think you need the money and you need the forward thinking to grow your organizations.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind, I think, sometimes the best way to really add value to the people at the conference is to just be really transparent. I know that a lot of times people reach out to me and they're like, hey, Kayla, I'm looking for fundraising. We'll give you 10% of whatever you raise. And it's kind of this eat what you kill model, right? Well, that's really dangerous because there's no money, right? It's kind of like, well, whatever you raise, we'll give you 10%. So Jennifer, if we're really transparent, if somebody wants to hire you, let's say as an independent contractor to do some development for them, what are they looking at in terms of how much money they're going to spend for that kind of service?
So I absolutely positively do not and never have work on commission. I don't, because it takes time to do the same amount of work and you still might not actually be successful in that client or that sponsor closing the door, right? And signing the check. So what I've been doing, and I've been in this business 25 years, so I've tried every model. Generally for an event, if I'm planning an event from soup to nuts, all the logistics, caterers on site, managing the production of the show, whatever it is, it'll be a flat fee. And what I'm doing now in terms of more strategy and adversarial, I'm coming up with phases. So phase one for a new nonprofit, I'm hoping to work with one of our speakers here to help her build a nonprofit, Gridiron Girls. It will be phase one to really help her get the assets and the tools that she needs to help deliver the message, the website, the prospectus, building her board, the bylaws, working with the attorney to get set up. So there's a phase one. Phase two is actually helping to come up with that strategic, and phase one is a flat fee, or we could do it hourly, but it is a fee. Phase two is also kind of just starting to implement the plan and flushing through that plan. And then, or phase two, and then phase three is ongoing activation. And it's, again, side by side, working with an executive director or director of development, helping to physically pick up the phone, make the calls, do the research on prospects. Events are a separate charge because events are labor intensive, but it is, and I normally do, I often sell myself short, which I shouldn't say, but I normally do try to work with a client if it's the right client and make it work. I mean, the goal is that you grow together, but I will not work on a commission. I just can't, because the time it takes me to do the research and put together a prospect list, even if no one says they're going to sponsor the organization, I still had to take the time to do the research and put together the prospect list.
Hector, I'm going to turn this one over to you because you're in sales and you're the one who talked about the 5 no's. I also come out of over 20 years in sales, and I'm always looking for the 3 yeses. So we have this commonality between us. Hector, you're doing a lot of the work on your own, it seems like to me.
Yes.
How do you know when to stop wearing all those hats? And I think, I'm really speaking to a lot of nonprofits who are trying to do it all. They're burning the candle at both ends. They're working 15 or more hours a day. How do you know when it's time to stop wearing all the hats and consult with someone like Jen and say, I don't have a lot of money, but I know that my ROI is going to be great by hiring you? When does that come into play, Hector?
Well, that goes into play when you build trust with the person.